Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Spiritually Speaking. Today, I have the beautiful Whitley with me. She is a motivational speaker, a doctor of traditional naturopathy, somatic healing practitioner, and also a podcast host. So, thank you for joining me today, Whitley. I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you, Dee, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, you're very welcome. So I know in our pre-chat, we touched on quite a few things, and I never plan these things out. I just kind of allow things to go where they're supposed to go during the episode. But one of the things that we talked about was how emotions can be stored in the body and manifest as pain or illness. So I would love to delve into that topic because I feel like it's a really big topic. It really is. And I just recently listened to a Mel Robbins episode, which I hadn't listened to her in quite a while. But the lady she had on also spoke about how we can heal our body and how our mind and body are actually the same. So I would love for you to explore this topic with us and tell us how you see things, feel things, and have experienced things in your practice.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm a doctor of traditional naturopathy, which means that I believe everything's connected in our body. So we have mind, body, spirit, but we even have more than that. There's a lot of energy going on in our body, there's a lot of electricity, a lot of ways our body is trying to communicate with the world and to communicate with us, our own selves. And so, um, a lot of times, especially in our stressful, kind of just discombobulated world we're living in, we get those messages mixed up. There's a lot of room for us to just kind of turn off the pathways to listen to those messages that our body's trying to tell us. And so, um, what I do is I scan a person's body, um, to find out what's out of balance, what's in balance, what the root cause of ailments or diseases are, and then I treat the root cause and I help support my clients' bodies to heal how they want to be healed, like naturally. And so, one of those ways is I use frequency medicine, and we have everything can be measured with a frequency. It vibrates at its own speed, and emotions do. Emotions have their own frequencies, and so the scanner that I use, it can scan the voice box where we store over 7,000 different frequencies, mostly based or connected to emotions and our emotional health. And then I can tell you what emotions you're experiencing based on how on what you're storing in your voice box. This can be anything from grief to pain to spiritual disconnection, and then those frequencies change how your body is made up. It can even create sickness and disease, um, based on how your emotions are balanced or out of balance in your body. And so I see a lot of people with grief that they don't even know they're experiencing grief. Maybe the grief what happened 10, 20 years ago, but it's still there, still affecting their body. And so you cannot fully heal your body of symptoms. You can't get rid of those symptoms if you haven't worked with the root cause, which is usually a lot of times emotional based. And so I work with my clients to find out where that grief came from, where that emotion is being stored. Why is it being stored? Why are we holding on to that? Did we just create a rut in our body and we just cannot get out of that rut? Um, Frequencies can heal, so we can create a frequency song, or have tools that create frequencies and can help get people back into balance, get their bodies out of that rut to create a healthier pathway. Sometimes we need to use somatic healing. Sometimes we need talk therapy. Sometimes we need there's just a lot of different therapies out there that work with emotions. And if you don't work on your emotions, it's just another band-aid. It's just like you're taking another pill, right? Another pill for that ill, but it's not actually healing. So
Yeah, it's very amazing that you're bringing up emotions because we're very emotional beings. Some of us
Mm-hmm.
stuff those emotions down and pretend like we don't have them, but that doesn't mean they're not there. And I
Yeah.
know I'm really emotional. I break out the Kleenex quite often when I'm doing these podcasts and videos because I just, and I used to apologize for that and be, a little bit embarrassed by it and stuff. And now I just, like I just grab Kleenex. I'll give other people Kleenex, like, here you go, like, let's cry together. It's okay. But a lot of people do stuff down their emotions. And do you find that when that happens, that they create more of an issue in their body than someone who allows those emotions to come through?
Yeah, so I'm on the other end of that. I had probably three emotions that I experienced for most of my life. It was happy, always I'm a happy person. Sad, I allowed myself to be sad for maybe 10 minutes, and then I just picked myself up and pushed on. And I had to have a good reason. And anger, very rarely, anger was more of a 2-minute allowance, and then I had to go back to being happy. And it created such a disconnection for me on my body. I had so much happening in my life, and people would say, how are you doing this? How are you just going forward? I'm like, oh well, I'm sick a lot. Where's like I'm on a one-track path to an autoimmune disorder by shoving and not experiencing these emotions. And so now I was introduced to somatic healing. And before my first class in somatic healing, I couldn't tell you if I was hungry or thirsty. I was having a lot of really traumatic things happening to me at that time. And so people would say, what do you need? How can I help you? And I couldn't even tell you how they could help me. And I had maybe a couple people come over and start washing my dishes. I was like, oh yeah, I really did need my dishes washed. And that just made a huge difference in my life, just having my dishes washed for me. And once I took one class in somatic healing, which is just reconnecting your body and noticing messages and noticing and naming feelings and sensations, I could tell you I was hungry again. I could
Mhm.
tell you I was just eating because I was bored and lonely. I could tell you that, I didn't feel, I wasn't happy here for this situation didn't make me happy. I could start talking and verbalizing and connecting and crying. And I always joke I have my beauty regimen includes crying now. so so night and day difference from where I started, but a lot of people, like I live in the Midwest, and in the Midwest, we have a lot of these sayings of stop crying or give you a reason to cry.
Yes.
No pain, no gain.
Mhm.
Just push on. It was meant to happen. It could have been worse. We have all of these sayings that shove down and train our brain to stop acknowledging emotions, stop feeling,
Mhm.
stop having that rainbow of emotions that we're supposed to have, that God gave us. And we limit ourselves to happy, sad for a little bit, angry for just a little bit less than you can be sad. So,
Yeah.
and we have
Anger
a
a
lot of
tricky
health
emotion,
issues.
huh? I feel like
It is.
and I've said this on my podcast in previous episodes that there's nothing wrong with being angry. That's a perfectly healthy, normal human emotion. The
Yes.
problem becomes with what you do when you're angry, the things you say, how
Mm-hmm.
you behave, and how you will let that anger affect your life and the lives of those around you, because it can be very potent with some people for sure.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear you speak into that a little more, since it is one of the emotions that you squash down into these tiny little segments of time in your life.
Yeah. So when you suppress anger, you suppress the ability to move forward, right? We have that fight or flight response that is safe. It is a safety mechanism that our body, when used appropriately, engages us. It
Mm.
creates, when you have that, there's healthy stress, there's healthy amounts of anger. It pushes you forward. righteous anger, right? We shouldn't just stand and watch somebody get hurt. We need to um, we need to engage and go forward. And so when we shove it down, we create stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
And then that does get stored in your body. Anger gets stored in your hips. How many clients do I have that they say, I'm not stretchy. I'm not flexible, my hips, or I have sciatica, or I have back problems, my tailbone hurts, it hurts to sit. That is all anger, trauma, frustration stored in your hips that is causing issues, physical issues, because your body is screaming, let us out, let it go,
Yeah.
let us feel. So it
Yeah.
can even, yeah, affects you physically, not just emotionally. When you shove emotions down, you're shoving
Yeah.
them into the core, into your muscles, into your fascia, into your bones even.
Wow. And the pain that we create in our bodies through holding those emotions in creates more emotions because it's emotional. At least I know it is for me when I have pain. Like I feel it, in an emotional way. And so I feel like that can also contribute. Have you had anyone bring that up before? I would love to hear you talk about that.
Yeah, so I do. So I have this wing of somatic healing, which has just been such a blessing for me to be able to use with my clients. And so I've noticed that I've been um, teaching a class on Tuesday nights, and it's just somatic and vagus nerve. It's a somatic and vagus nerve reset class, and this is for my clients mostly because I see their vagus nerve is on my scans. It's always out of balance. Their emotional health most of the time is always out of balance. And I had a client who came in who he was working in the yard that day. He said he was coming, and then he goes, I don't know if I should come. I hurt my back really bad. So no, you need to come to this class. And so he came to the class and he could barely lay down. I had put all these pillows around him, and um, we worked through the somatic skills and the vagus nerve reset. And he left with so much less pain because there was just so much connected to. I said, do you feel like you did a lot? Did you feel like you overdid it? He goes, yes, I do. And I said, okay, so take that emotion, take that idea that core belief that you did too much. And what does it look like to do less?
Mm.
And he's like, and I said, feel that in your body. Feel what it feels like. Imagine what it would feel like to do less, to do just the right amount, to listen to your body. Feel imagine what it would feel like to be painless right where it hurts. And he left feeling so much better. And he came back the next week and without any pain. So it's very much, the brain is so powerful.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm sure his emotions were in a different state too, the second time after he felt better physically.
Oh yes. Yeah. He could lay on the ground without all the pillows the next time. So
That's amazing. In just one session, that's incredible.
yeah, it's very powerful. I love tapping into the brain, and because it is our control tower, right? It tells us if we're safe, if we're not safe. It communicates to your gut, it communicates to your heart, and your all your uh, proprioception, all the way that you interact with the world. It goes directly to our brain, and we have that tool to tap into to kind of do some life hacks, some body hacks, I like to say.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. And I was a little surprised because we discussed it in our pre-chat as well, and you brought it up at the beginning when you said that there are 7,000 frequencies that we hold in just our voice box.
Yes.
And I was just incredibly amazed by that. And I would love to have you explain exactly what that means in terms of our physical health and our mental well-being.
Yeah. So when somebody speaks, you can tell if they're nervous. You can tell if they're sad. You can tell if they're about to cry. That's a that's not something tangible. right? We're not holding on to somebody's neck and feeling that. We're not like doing anything here, right? Physically, we don't have a gauge hooked up to them. It's just something we intuitively know. And it's not just intuitively, there's science to that as well. It's the fact that our bodies are so sensitive to the world around us. And we can feel the frequencies. We can feel just, it's just like sound waves, right? We can hear the difference between a C sharp and a C flat. We can hear the difference in notes, and it's not because we see it. It's the vibrations in the air, in the atmosphere. And so when we're next to somebody, even next, I'm not next to you, right? We're states apart, and I can tell, and you can probably tell if I'm nervous or happy or relaxed or scared. You can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just what we are attuned to, and what our body is naturally feeling and sensing and noticing. And so the 7,000 frequencies are just kind of the beginning. So they find new frequencies and isolate new frequencies every day. But right now in the database of my scan, they can isolate 7,000 frequencies. And so emotions have their own set of frequencies. They have it goes from like love. Love is the most powerful frequency. Despair, grief, those are low frequencies. Those are the lowest. And your body can hear all of that.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing to me to know and to hear. And then my scan can also tell you where you're storing that love or the grief or the anger in your body and how it's affecting you. So
Yeah.
amazing, just amazing.
That
It's
it is
absolutely
totally amazing. And I'm just 7,000 seems like an enormous amount of frequencies. And
right.
they're discovering more all the time, you said. So
Mhm.
how does that work? How are they discovering more? And are these just like totally non-related, which I mean, I know everything's connected, but like, is it just subtle differences in, like, say, love, for example? Are there like different frequencies inside of that core frequency? Is that why we have 7,000 of them?
Mhm. Yes, well, we actually just store 7,000 in our voice box alone. We actually, throughout our body, we have over 150,000.
Wow.
So there's even more to that, where um, the scan can give us an insight into food sensitivities, what foods your body might not like.
Mm,
It can tell you your gut health, what that looks like. Do you have enough um, good bacteria in your gut biome? It's all of those vibrate at their own speed, at their own frequency. Light vibrates at its own speed, frequency. We have just a spectrum on the light spectrum is absolutely amazing as well. Just um, the machines I use, I can tune them to a certain frequency. So like love is a 528 hertz frequency. So if you tune to 528, it raises your body, and you're next to it or you're listening to it, it can raise your body's frequency to that of love. So then you're more likely to kind of feel love or feel the effects of love just from that tuning to that frequency. Um, there's a lot to it. There's just, yeah, everything's connected. We have this quantum. It's based off like quantum physics, quantum theory, and just how everything is connected. And we have these little strings, invisible strings that connect us, and um, can everything can affect us, right? So I have
yeah.
plants in my house. Those plants vibrate at their own frequency. So you can take a tool and you can measure the plant, and based on how it's vibrating, that tool can tell you exactly what type of plant it is. Um, Wood, clothing. My clothing has its own frequency that it vibrates at. Um,
That's
so
amazing. And so, since everything has a frequency, and I know that words have frequencies too, and internal dialogue and language that we use, not just internally, but even with our friends or in business or whatever, is
mhm.
extremely powerful. It's really like in the forefront of everything right now for me. And personally have worked really diligently on shifting the way that I speak, even the way that thoughts come into my brain. And I quit using certain words and phrases because I just feel the heaviness of them. So, and I know that I have a particular friend that says, the universe knows I'm joking, Dee, when she says certain things. And I'm like, are you sure? So I would love to have you speak about how words and the frequency of them is so important for not only our physical health, but also, like I said before, our mental well-being.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, we have a lot of ancient scripture, right, that says our words are so powerful and we have to take captive every thought. We have to watch what we're saying. We have all of this ancient knowledge, right? And you can say, well, that's just people guessing. They didn't have the technology we have today, but we have science that says this is an actual concept. This is an actual uh, it's almost a phenomenon, really, because the words you have, just the words you have, actually there's matter to it. You can measure it. You can there's an actual like microbe that you can gather from your words. The words you say, the things you think, can actually change your brain, the way your brain works. Your words actually, they did a study. There's a few studies out there, but one of my favorite is they took rice. They took rice and they just had a control package and they zipped it up, and it was like a plastic bag, and they zipped it up. Nothing was, it's just a control. Then they spoke love words, like you're great, positive, loving, love, 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 into another bag of rice, and they zipped that up. And then they did like hate, like just angry hate words, in the other zipped uh, package of rice, and they zipped it up. And in a week's time, the hate one had mold in it, the love one had nothing, and the control had nothing. So those were just nothing. So, but the hate one had um, mold in it. They've done in other studies where they spoke into water,
Mhm.
really good positive messages, and then they spoke in and they froze it. And then they spoke really negative messages into another bottle of water and they froze it. And they looked at the molecules, and the anger, negative words, water molecules were all fragmented and sporadic and chaotic. And then the ones that were love and positive were still in a controlled, like connected form. So all that to say is we can measure the difference between love and hate, positive and negative phrases. And if you think about how we are made up of water,
Mhm.
and what we're storing, what we're speaking, what we're thinking is going into our water molecules and creating health or dissonance or cacophony in our
Yeah.
body. And so super important. They've done studies on the effects of gratitude. Just
Mhm.
12 minutes of gratitude or prayer changes your brain makeup
That's
tremendously.
incredible. So,
Yes.
with all of the studies and everything, and I know I've heard multiple studies too. I hadn't heard the rice one, which I find extremely fascinating. But and that's actually one you could do at home. If someone wanted to do that one at home, they could totally do. You don't even need a microscope for that one. That's really
Exactly.
interesting. Why do you
Mhm.
feel like knowing this and with this information being out there as much as it is, that people are still so resistant to shifting things inside of themselves and becoming used to using words that are more positive?
So another part of my program, it creates an affirmation song. So my clients will read a script, and then there will be frequencies that go into the song that help rewire the brain. It's called neuro-linguistic reprogramming.
Hmm.
And it's a little more subtle. It's not heavy as like talk therapy, but it rewires the brain. And what I notice is as my clients speak, I've had many cry. Like we've had to start over the recording because they just start crying. And these are words such as, I am smart, I am funny, I'm meant to heal, my body wants to heal, my body is capable of healing, I am created for this. And just those words, they're true, right? People are funny, people are smart, everyone is smart.
Yeah.
But it can be so heavy, it can be so hard. It's work to rewire your brain. It can be
Hmm.
exhausting. I know when I listen to the song sometimes, or I do somatic healing, I can feel really tired afterwards. I had somebody do the body code on me, and this was just virtual, and I had to lay on the floor for like 20 minutes after our sessions because it was just so much work. You don't even know. It's almost confusing because you don't even know what, it doesn't feel like work. You don't know what is going on inside your body, but there is a lot of work. It can feel confusingly heavy to do emotion work, to
Hmm.
change, to rewire your brain, to stop talking negatively because you're just so wired, and then your body kind of starts questioning like, what's going on here? Whoa, 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 what are you doing? We had this status quo and you're changing it on us. We worked a certain way. We knew what we were doing, kind of. Now you're changing it and you're causing us to work a little harder. And so and not that people are lazy, but I think it is just heavy. It's heavy work, and it would be easier to take a pill. It'd be easier
Yeah.
to just say I'm just supposed to be in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's just life.
that's just how it is. It's
Yeah.
easier. It
Yeah.
is easier.
I remember when I first started learning to love myself, I listened to, I don't know if you've heard of Marissa Peer, but she actually wrote a book called I Am Enough, which is at the core of most of this stuff is that we feel like we're not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and she encourages you to write it on post-it notes and put it everywhere. Write I am enough on your mirror, put it as a screensaver on your phone, just everywhere so that you're always seeing it. And I remember when I first started doing that, and I would say it out loud to myself, and then I would just like roll my eyes and laugh and be like, "Yeah, right, whatever," like it didn't feel true to me, but I kept working through it, and and now I'm really great at complimenting myself and lifting
Yeah.
myself up and lifting others up. It was always easier for me to lift others up, but not myself, and so that was my own personal journey into it. I felt very awkward and quite ridiculous, honestly, when I first started saying those things to myself because I was in, really bad relationship at that time. And I just did not feel like they were true, but they
Mm-hmm.
are true.
They are. They are. We are told that. Like that is in our DNA. Like we are important. We
Yeah.
are created for this very moment. This is where we're supposed to be. And something inside of us, something maybe outside of us tells us we're not.
Mhm.
And you get those core beliefs that are almost impossible to I'm just gonna do this for a second because my video is falling. So sorry. So sorry. My camera is falling.
Oh no, you're good.
Okay, I just noticed that. I was like, man, I'm getting shorter and shorter.
My head is disappearing.
I was like starting to slouch. I'm like, what is happening? Okay,
There you go.
okay. So sorry about that, but
Oh, no
okay.
worries.
Um, you're talking about, yes, just the beliefs, and yeah. So we have these core beliefs that from outside or inside sources tell us we're not enough, or um, we're too much maybe.
Yeah.
And so we start believing that, and you absolutely need to get out of that rut if you want to be healthy, because being healthy is a possibility. Even if you were diagnosed with a chronic illness or something doctor said is impossible to heal from, like there is ways to get relief. There's ways to live a healthy, full life. But you have to get out of the rut and the core belief that this is just how life is,
Yeah.
that there's nothing you can do about it, that you were just meant to be in pain, or sick, because everybody's sick, right? Everybody's in pain, right?
Right. One of my favorite topics along that line is aging. So I'm
Mm.
like a firm believer that aging and growing old are not the same, because you can be very young and have an old mindset and a way that you do things that is not, relative to your age. I know my own mother, and I've said this in previous podcasts, was old quite early in life, like around 45 years old. She was old, in her mind. And, and even my grandma, bless her heart, she's 98 years old now. And she told me, like every year after you turn 50, it's downhill. Something new happens every year, and you decline. And that's like the beginning of the end, is for sure. When you're 50, you're just doomed. Do you know what I mean? It's like this whole mindset that you're going to lose your memory. You're going to lose your hearing. You're not going to be able to get around as well. You're going to need a cane or a walker, or it's like this whole thing. Like it's this whole plan that we see in our society. So, and I know there have been studies that have been done that show that this is actually really just a mindset, and we stop doing the things that keep us strong and healthy physically and mentally, like walking and getting up and down. We tend to be a lot more sedentary. So how do you feel about that whole age versus old thing?
Yeah, I'm not buying into it either. I mean, you say, well, this is just part of getting old. I mean, that's another thing where you just have to really be careful with how you speak. I have a friend who we've been working on them saying, I'm probably going to get Alzheimer's, that or dementia. I'm like, yeah, you will if you keep saying that,
Right.
but if you say, I'm smart, my brain works, I have the ability to be healthy and remember things. You can fight age related issues. You can support your body. A lot of um, people, I mean, even science is getting behind it with anti-aging practices where they're tying it into telomeres and how your DNA replicates. And so what can we do for that? Well, that's toxins, that's leading a healthy life, that's gratitude. I'm practicing gratitude. Um, I did just kind of ironically, because I look younger than I am as well, just you do too. And I notice a lot of people when they practice gratitude, when they try to live a healthy life, when they can laugh about life, like that changes so much on how you age. There is genetics to it. My
Mm-hmm.
whole family, like a lot of my family, looks young. We all love to laugh. But I also had somebody tell me, I was talking on the phone with them, and they said, you sound so young. You do not sound like you have a 16-year-old daughter, on the phone. Like, you just sound really full of life, and just even in my voice.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to that as far as the practices, the vagus nerve, the stress management that I do, yoga, breath work. There is just so much to it. It's simple. So a lot of this is free.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many free options to keep ourselves young. We don't need to slather or inject or, to fake it. We don't have to fake it. We can actually stay young and healthy, and our telomeres can stay healthy longer based on very simple practices.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I feel like that energetically that is very impactful, because if you think about how the lower frequencies are so heavy and they just like drag you down, like that's your skin and that's your shoulders and your back, and then you're next thing you know, you're all hunched over and your skin is sagging. But
Mm-hmm.
what if you were to allow yourself to be in those elevated vibrations and it lifts you, your whole body? You just stand taller, your face is brighter, you're smiling, your eyes are lit up, It
Yeah.
really is incredible.
Yeah, a lot of times. So I tell my clients, do not weigh yourself. I just throw that scale away, please, because we get so obsessed with the numbers.
Yes.
But how do you feel? Like, let's gauge it on how, like, your health. Let's gauge your health on how you feel. Do you
Yeah.
have more energy? Are your eyes clearer? Are you standing up straighter? Do you feel stronger? And do you feel like you have enough stamina to do what you don't have to be a pro athlete, but do you have enough stamina to do what you want to do every day? Do you have the ability to get up and down without hurting? I mean, a lot of my clients, they hurt less, like their libido is much better. Their eyes are clearer. Um, they are standing up straighter. They're smiling more. You can just tell when someone feels great.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really, really true. I had a thought come into my mind and it went out just as fast as it came in. That was so crazy. Wow, I don't remember what it was. It'll come back to me. Keep talking more about that. I
Yeah.
love it.
Well, we were just talking about clear eyes. That just reminded me of, like, yeah, the brightness of your eyes, the clarity of your eyes is so telling. Um, so with naturopathy in school, they give you a lot of training and just different modalities, and one of those is iridology and sclerology. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but iridology is the study of the iris, so
Hmm.
the colored part of your eye, and sclerology is the color of the sclera, or is a study of the sclera, which is the white part of your eye. And based on the markings in your eye, the coloring and the sclera, uh, you can tell how healthy someone is, or what maybe some ailments that they are healing from. You can tell if they're healing from an ailment based on how their eyes look. And so our eyes tell us so much about our health.
Hmm.
And I wish I did more with iridology and sclerology, but it's just our eyes tell us. Our eyes are our outside brain, really. So
I
there's so
haven't heard
much.
that before.
It is. It's direct. They're directly connected to your brain, so they're the only part of your brain that you can see. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
That's incredible.
It's
That's
so
the first time I've ever heard of that. So thank you for sharing that tip with us. That's amazing.
yeah. Yeah. So and the brain knows everything that's going on in your body. So that's why iridology and sclerology they're very ancient, very old modalities on understanding your health. Um, but it's kind of similar to the kinesiology, or muscle response testing. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
So just we can learn a lot. Um, we can't diagnose,
Right.
but we can learn a lot just from looking and observing. But
Yeah. So you mentioned autoimmune disorders earlier, and
mm-hmm.
I have been diagnosed, and I don't claim diagnosis. I just don't do it. It's like this scale, just throw that away. Like I know
Yeah.
that my body has been reacting in a certain way and it's healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that a lot of people feel like if they are diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, that is a lifelong thing. And I myself reject that idea. I feel like we can
Mm-hmm.
heal ourselves from pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say about the fact that people are diagnosed with these autoimmune disorders? My personal one is a thyroid issue. I know there are a lot of them like gout and lupus and what's the other one? The arthritis one that people get that's so bad. My mind is just going blank.
So arthritis is linked to a lot of autoimmune disorders. So I'm not quite sure which one you're exactly talking about, but
Rheumatoid
oh,
arthritis.
rheumatoid arthritis. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Those are inflammation. like
Mhm.
disorders, right? So, or, thyroid can be tied definitely to high stress. So, all of those autoimmune disorders. So my daughter was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2020, and at 9 years old. And so I wasn't really happy with how her first doctor handled um, the diagnosis and all of that. So I found a new doctor who was very on board with with me questioning things. And so she said, you know what, we can do whatever you want. Over in Europe, the number one thing they do is diet change. So they put them on a liquid diet. And her first doctor was like, no, I refuse. Like, we have to give children this medicine that has the side effects of cancer
Oh
right
my
away.
gosh.
I'm like, I don't want to give that to my daughter. No, I don't want to do that. And so, but she just said, well, we're not like you, I don't want to work with you then. And so we found a new doctor who said, yeah, we can do the diet first. It's okay. So we did the diet. We changed a lot. Any foods that had inflammation causing properties, we eliminated for a while. She was on a liquid diet, super miserable diet. It's hard. It's so hard, especially for a child. And so then we slowly introduced the foods back in, and she was like allergic to sugar, gluten, corn, and dairy. Her body just reacted, and over time it hasn't. She did end up getting on some medication, but for a long time we were able to keep it low. But the main things are stress management, diet, the standard American diet. We are one of the few countries that actually has autoimmune disorders because of our diet. I mean, we have a high stress lives. We uh, have really rough diet, and then we have genetics too. We have genetics to play in part, but I also am a believer that you can kind of, just as much as you can flip on a gene reaction, I think you can flip it off. It's never going to go away, but you can manage it
Yeah.
um, with just um, work. It's work.
Yeah.
It's not a pill for an ill. It's not a band-aid. We're not putting band-aids on forever, right? The band-aid has to come off and we have to heal. And your
Yeah.
body wants to do that.
Yeah.
So,
And it's a lifestyle change. It's not, like
mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people like cringe when they hear the word diet and shifting how you do that whole thing, but it really is a lifestyle change. And it's not just with food, it's with everything we intake, social media, all of the things, you know.
Right, right. So I wrote an ebook called Holistic Harmony. And it's really is for anybody who's just starting out or wants to do a self audit on their life style. And it has a lot of tools to just incorporate. It's not meant to be overwhelming or to say, hey, everything in your life, you need to cut it all out.
Right.
Um, we can't do that to our body. I always tell my clients it's an 80-20. You work up to the 80-20. You don't want to be 100% like you don't want to cut everything out 100%, because then that just plays a part in your emotional and mental health. You're
Yeah.
isolating yourself from your culture, from your community. And so you have to have a balance. But the book, it talks about the 8 pillars of natural health. And so all I ask in the book is for you to just check your nutrition. What's your nutrition like? What's your diet like? I don't like diets. I don't really like to say I have a diet.
Right.
I say I limit or I try to stay away from inflammation causing foods.
Mhm.
I know my body doesn't really love dairy a lot, but I have an 80-20 rule. So, and I find good quality dairy. So my body can have a better chance of enjoying it. And then, um, uh, so what's your nutrition like? What are your sleep habits like? What about hydration? Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting enough sunlight? Are you moving? You don't have to have extreme. Nothing needs to be extreme. Like we aren't supposed to be an extremist. We're supposed to be moderation. Everything's in moderation. So movement, stress. Are you balanced? Are you managing your stress? Are you having social connections? Are you limiting the toxins that you're putting in your body or around you? Those are just the foundations to having and to being healthy, to supporting your body to do what it's supposed to do. And so that's what I'm really passionate about right now, is just like teaching my clients moderation and just the basics of what creates a healthy body.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a lot of supplements. You don't have to be extreme. You don't have to limit everything. You can still go out to eat every once in a while, but not every day, and so.
Yeah, it's getting kind of expensive to go out to eat, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a particular restaurant for breakfast with my friend when we went on a cross-country trip here not too long ago, and it was $50, not including the tip at this. And it wasn't a fancy restaurant. It was like one of those breakfast restaurants, that you go to. And I just could not believe it was $50. I mean, we didn't even order that much stuff, and it was $50, not including the tip for us to have breakfast. It was insane. So, and I'm so happy that you brought up your book. Tell us the name of it again.
It's called Holistic Harmony, and it's a free ebook right now. I can't promise it'll always be that way, but I just really am passionate about getting that information out. If my clients read that book before they come see me, one, they save a ton of money, but also we get just to dive in. You get to, like, we get to really work on that root cause, whatever's left over, whatever symptoms are left over after you've implemented the suggestions in the book. I get to work on that. I get to work on the sticky things. And instead of like saying, I just hate when I have to say, you really need to drink water. Thank you for paying me $300 for this service, but that's what you really need right now. You need some good water. Because I know it's like, that's just too simple, but that's really it. A lot of times my clients just need water.
Yeah.
And sometimes, they do have the autoimmune disorder. Sometimes they have the gene mutations, but I can't get to those gene mutations. I can't really get into it all if you're not drinking water.
Right. And good water. I would like to say good water. I've been to restaurants where I couldn't even drink their water. I had to ask, do you have bottled water? Because it's this city water and it's horrid. Like, it even I can smell it before I even get my drink to my face. I can't do it. So good water for sure.
And that's in there too. I tell my clients the good water and the minerals and the mineral content and just the different options that we have, because sometimes even there's just so much information out there. It can be confusing even, and maybe even overwhelming to say, you need to find the right water.
Yeah.
You can't just drink out of the tap. I'm sorry. We just don't have that luxury. I was in Europe, and you could drink from the fountains. Those old fountains, they were just, in Switzerland, it tasted amazing. You could just taste the minerals, you taste the freshness of it. Just everybody had access to that delicious water. We don't have that here. We don't have that luxury, unfortunately. We have to go search for good water.
Yeah. And if you're in the city, you're paying for that crappy water, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. But I'm so glad you brought the book up, because those were questions that I was actually going to ask you. And you just revealed it all right there with your book and made that accessible for people. So I will put all your links in the description box below this video so that everyone can contact you with a click and get your free ebook free for now. So yes, that's a value. Like, that is truly value. So I really hope people will take part in that. So I would love for you to tell people where they can find you. And of course, like I said, I will include your links because this has been a beautiful conversation. I feel like there are people out there that will want to do some work with you because it sounds like an absolutely beautiful journey.
Thank you. Thank you. So my website is www.holyjubilee.com. So it's WHOLLYJUBILEE.com. You can find me on Instagram at Holy Jubilee. And I would love to work with you. The Holy Jubilee name is there because it's a celebration. I want to celebrate all the wins with my clients. I think life should be full of joy, music, and celebration. And so I want to give that to anybody I meet, actually, all my clients, friends, everybody.
That's incredible. I love how much music's coming into my life here recently with different people that are singing or they're musicians or a combination of the two. It just seems to be really in my awareness right now. So I love that you're doing that as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
yay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Whitley. I have really enjoyed having you. You have a powerful message, and I know you're helping lots of people and you're going to be helping lots more. So, thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
You're very welcome. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on another episode of Spiritually Speaking. Until next time. Oh, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I know you know someone who needs to hear this message that Whitley shared with us today. So until next time, I love you all.